Anxiety is not weakness. It is not failure. It is not something that means you are broken. Anxiety is a signal from a nervous system that has learned, over time, to stay alert in order to stay safe. When this alertness goes on for too long, especially in emotionally demanding environments, it can begin to drain your inner energy in ways that feel invisible but deeply exhausting. Advanced emotional protection is not about becoming cold, distant, or disconnected. It is about learning how to remain present without absorbing what does not belong to you. For women navigating anxiety, this form of protection becomes essential, not optional. It allows you to move through the world without constantly feeling invaded, overwhelmed, or emotionally responsible for everything and everyone around you. Many anxious women unconsciously carry the emotional weight of others. They listen deeply, feel intensely, and often take on problems that are not theirs to solve. Over time, this creates chronic emotional fatigue. The body remains tense. The mind rarely rests. Anxiety grows not because something is wrong with you, but because your internal boundaries have been stretched too thin. Emotional protection begins with a simple but powerful internal shift. You are allowed to preserve your energy. You are allowed to pause before responding. You are allowed to notice when a situation feels draining rather than nourishing. This awareness alone can begin to calm the nervous system, because it signals safety instead of obligation. After the age of 40, many women notice that their tolerance for emotional chaos decreases. This is not fragility, it is wisdom. The body becomes more honest. Anxiety often intensifies when internal limits are ignored. Advanced emotional protection means honoring that wisdom by creating internal limits, not walls, but filters. Filters allow love, respect, and connection in, while gently blocking stress, manipulation, and emotional overload. In toxic or highly stressful environments, anxiety can feel like it spikes without warning. What is often happening is emotional overexposure. Your system is trying to protect you. Emotional shielding is the practice of mentally and emotionally reminding yourself, I can care without carrying. I can witness without absorbing. This distinction reduces anxiety because it restores a sense of control and safety inside your body. Protection also means recognizing that not every emotion you feel originated within you. Highly sensitive and anxious women often absorb the emotional states of others. Learning to separate what is yours from what is external is a critical skill. This separation does not require confrontation. It requires presence, self-awareness, and permission to step back internally. True emotional protection feels grounding, not rigid. It creates space to breathe, think, and rest. Anxiety softens when the nervous system senses that it is no longer responsible for everything. Over time, this practice builds resilience. You begin to trust yourself again. You feel safer inside your own boundaries. You do not have to fix your anxiety all at once. You do not have to change who you are. Emotional protection is a gradual process of choosing yourself, again and again in small, steady ways. Nothing is wrong with you. Your body has been doing its best to protect you, and now you are learning how to protect yourself with intention. If this message resonates with you, write one word of strength in the comments that reflects your journey with anxiety, such as calm, safety, strength, or boundaries. Your word matters, and it reinforces the protection you are building within yourself. You don't need to be fixed, rushed, or pushed today. This space is for slowing down and gently reorganizing what has been carrying too much for too long. Anxiety often shows up after years of silent endurance. It appears when the body keeps moving forward, fulfilling responsibilities, meeting expectations, and holding everything together, while the inner world has been running on overload. Many women reach a point where they are still functioning on the outside, yet inside there is confusion, fatigue, emotional fog, and a constant sense of internal tension. This is not weakness. It is the nervous system asking for reorganization, not collapse. Reorganizing emotions does not mean opening everything at once or reliving every painful memory. It means creating internal order where there has been prolonged pressure. Anxiety grows when emotions have nowhere safe to land. Over time, feelings get layered on top of one another without space to settle. The mind becomes crowded, the body remains alert, and rest stops feeling restorative. Emotional reorganization begins when safety is restored inside, not when everything is understood. For many women, especially after years of caring for others, anxiety is linked to emotional accumulation. You have learned to contain, adapt, and endure. Your system became very skilled at survival. Now it is tired. The constant alertness, the need to anticipate problems, and the habit of putting yourself last slowly erode inner stability. Reorganization is the process of giving your inner world permission to breathe again. This does not require drastic change. It starts with recognizing that your emotions are not a problem to solve, but signals asking to be heard in a gentler way. When anxiety is present, the goal is not to eliminate it immediately, but to reduce internal chaos. Calm comes not from forcing peace, but from restoring a sense of order and predictability inside your body. Emotional reorganization often feels like slowing down internally, even if life around you remains busy. It means noticing when your thoughts spiral and choosing not to follow them all the way. It means allowing feelings to exist without judging them or demanding answers from yourself. Each time you do this, your nervous system receives a message of safety. Over time, anxiety softens because it no longer needs to shout to be noticed. There is nothing wrong with feeling exhausted by holding everything together. Many women were never taught how to release emotional weight, only how to carry it quietly. Anxiety becomes the language of a system that has been strong for too long without rest. Reorganization is not giving up. It is recalibrating. As internal balance slowly returns, clarity improves. Decisions feel less urgent. Emotions feel more distinct instead of overwhelming. You begin to sense where you end and external pressure begins. This boundary is stabilizing. It reduces emotional noise and brings the body out of constant alert mode. You are allowed to reorganize your inner world at your own pace. There is no deadline for healing. The fact that you are aware of your anxiety already means your system is moving toward balance, not away from it. You are learning to support yourself in a new way, one that does not require constant self-sacrifice. If this resonates with you, write a single word in the comments that represents strength for you in this season of anxiety, such as calm, balance, safety, or steadiness. Writing it is a small but meaningful step in reinforcing the internal stability you are rebuilding. Good morning. We can approach this slowly and with care. Nothing here is about pushing you to become someone else. It is about gently reconnecting you with what has always been there. Over time, many women lose connection with their own value without realizing it. It rarely happens all at once. It happens in small moments of self-doubt, in years of prioritizing others, in adapting to expectations, and in learning to be strong without being seen. Anxiety often grows in the space where self-worth quietly eroded. Not because you are lacking, but because you have been giving without replenishing your sense of who you are. Reconnection with your own value is not about confidence in the loud or performative sense. It is about internal validation. It is about remembering that your worth is not measured by productivity, resilience, or how much you can carry without breaking. Many strong women feel small inside because they learn to survive by minimizing themselves. Anxiety becomes a companion when your inner identity no longer matches the depth of who you truly are. There is often a disconnect between the woman you are today and the way you see yourself. You may still relate to an older version of you shaped by criticism, responsibility, or emotional neglect. That outdated self-image lingers quietly, influencing how you speak to yourself and how safe you feel taking up space. Reconnecting with your value means updating that internal picture with compassion rather than judgment. After 40, many women begin to feel this gap more clearly. The external roles may still exist, but internally there is a question asking to be answered. Who am I beyond what I provide? Anxiety intensifies when identity becomes blurred. Your nervous system senses this mismatch and stays alert, as if something essential has been misplaced. What is being sought is not approval, but recognition. Your value does not need to be proven. It does not disappear because you are tired, uncertain, or anxious. Even when you feel disconnected from yourself, your worth remains intact. Reconnection is not about building something new. It is about remembering and allowing yourself to feel it again, gently and repeatedly. Validation that comes only from outside will never fully settle anxiety. The body needs internal reassurance. It needs to know that you see yourself, that you matter to yourself. Each moment of self-respect, each pause where you choose kindness over self-criticism, begins to repair that internal bond. Anxiety softens when the inner voice becomes less demanding and more supportive. You are allowed to take up emotional space. You are allowed to have needs without apologizing for them. Strong women often learn to shrink emotionally to stay safe or accepted. Reclaiming your value can feel unfamiliar at first, even uncomfortable. That discomfort does not mean you are doing it wrong. It means you are reconnecting with something that was set aside for too long. This reconnection does not require grand declarations. It happens in quiet moments of acknowledgement. It happens when you stop questioning whether you are enough and start noticing that you have always been more than sufficient. Anxiety does not define you. It is a response, not an identity. If this speaks to you, write one word in the comments that represents strength and self-worth for you in this season, such as value, dignity, confidence, or presence. Let that word be a small anchor back to yourself. Guilt has a quiet way of settling into the body over time. It often doesn't arrive loudly or dramatically. Instead, it accumulates slowly through past choices, words spoken or left unsaid, decisions made with the information and strength you had at the time. Many women carry guilt without consciously realizing it, and anxiety often grows from this hidden weight. The nervous system stays tense, not because danger is present, but because the mind keeps replaying moments that can no longer be changed. Chronic guilt is exhausting. It creates an internal environment where rest feels undeserved and self-acceptance feels conditional. You may notice that even during calm moments, there is a subtle pressure inside, a sense that you should have done better, known more, been stronger, or chosen differently. This mental self-punishment becomes habitual, and over time it drains emotional energy. Anxiety is frequently the byproduct of this ongoing inner conflict. Dissolving guilt does not mean denying responsibility or rewriting the past. It means recognizing that punishing yourself endlessly does not create healing. Most past decisions were made from a place of survival, limited options, emotional immaturity, or unmet needs. You did the best you could with the resources you had then. Holding on to guilt as a form of self-discipline only keeps your nervous system locked in the past. Many women confuse guilt with accountability. Accountability allows learning and growth. Guilt keeps you stuck. It keeps the body in a state of vigilance, as if a sentence is still being served. Anxiety thrives in this space because the system never receives permission to relax. Emotional lightness begins when you allow yourself to separate who you are now from who you were then. Letting go of guilt can feel unfamiliar, even unsafe. Some part of you may believe that releasing guilt means excusing mistakes or forgetting lessons. In reality, self-acceptance creates more clarity, not less. When the inner critic softens, the mind becomes clearer and the body begins to feel lighter. Anxiety often decreases not because life becomes easier, but because the internal pressure finally eases. You are allowed to stop replaying old moments. You are allowed to release the need to constantly judge yourself. Guilt that lingers for years is not a sign of morality. It is a sign of unresolved compassion toward yourself. Healing begins when you acknowledge that you are human, evolving, and worthy of peace even with an imperfect past. Emotional liberation does not happen all at once. It happens gradually as you interrupt self-punishing thoughts and replace them with neutrality, then gentleness. You may not feel immediate relief, and that is okay. Each time you choose not to mentally punish yourself, you are teaching your nervous system that it is safe to rest. Anxiety softens when the body no longer feels trapped in self-blame. You do not need to carry old guilt to prove that you care. You can care deeply and still choose lightness. You can honor your past without living inside it. There is strength in allowing yourself to move forward without dragging yesterday behind you. Write now strength in the comments to remind yourself that strength exists in you, even after mistakes, even after guilt, even now. We close this moment without rushing and without pressure. Nothing needed to be fixed here. Something important was simply allowed to soften. What was heavy was named. What was silent was acknowledged. That alone changes the internal atmosphere. You are not leaving this space empty-handed. You are leaving lighter. When guilt loosens, even a little, the body feels safer. The mind becomes quieter. Anxiety no longer needs to stay on guard. This is how emotional relief begins, not with force, but with permission. Carry with you the understanding that your past does not disqualify you from peace. You are allowed to move forward without self-punishment. You are allowed to rest without explaining yourself. You are allowed to be human and still be worthy of calm. Let this closing be a gentle seal, not an ending, but a pause where your nervous system can register safety. What you release today does not need to be picked up again. Write strength in the comments now to anchor this moment and remind yourself that strength lives in you, not the kind that endures pain silently, but the kind that chooses lightness, compassion, and emotional freedom.